My name is Defne. I'm your moderator today, and I'm also the director of Witte de Wit in Rotterdam, an institution dedicated to the presentation of contemporary art for its last 25 years. It is situated in a building that used to be a school for girls. It's one of those first classroom experiments in Northern Europe with that perfect cross in between the spaces. And the institution finds her role constantly, on an ongoing basis, to anchor its program in the curriculum of universities, which is quite a radical challenge to actually put your program that thrives in education, publishing, and exhibition making into the curriculum of humanities. And so we ask universities that we partner up with, use us. If you don't have an art department, art history department, use us if you want to study history, if you want to study sociology, sinology, black anthologies. And this is something we've been doing for the last 4 years as well, working with scholars like Tarek Ramadan, controversial names, or Yanis Varoufakis, who's been our Athens desk editor till he became the former finance minister of Greece, or an artist like Chujijie, who invented the method of teaching called total art. But that's a bit about me, what I'm doing professionally, I guess. And I just want to also drop a few bombs. A few weeks ago, I was reading the rather respected magazine, The Zeit, an interview with the intelligence researcher, a behavioral psychiatrist, Robert Plumman, offered quite a surprising fact for me. When asked what makes humans more intelligent, he said that school and instruction count only for 10%. So we are actually talking about that 10%, but knowing the art world, I know that you would immediately question, what is that intelligence? What does it mean to make people more smarter? Nevertheless, he said, it's actually the environment, context, and the genes that make what people more smarter. It's quite controversial. You know, I read it in a German newspaper. It even ticked me off even more. Nevertheless, 10%, 15%, 20%, it is still a small operational space, plus the art world, plus how we all feel minority, whatever we do in our worlds. But he also said, which I thought is interesting, instead of downplaying the importance of the school, he argued that a decentralized school system with great teachers providing personalized learning will even be more important in the future, so that teachers can make decisions for the best interests of each person. So nurturing the nature, I thought, okay, this is an interesting argument also with artists, because that's what they do best, even in the age of techno-capitalism. Today, I am going to be followed by 4 case studies from across the world that are operating across continents, but are also rooted in their specific localities. And the session is called Educational Institution as Form, and we are to look at case studies that look at the pedagogical and practical implications of artist-initiated educational institutions with the goal of highlighting their critical and productive approach. So I'm looking forward to hearing also from Marwa Arsanios, Marinella Senatore, Kunle Adeyeme, and Tina Sharwell. I'm also looking forward to hearing about their background, what brought them to here, the context, the environment that they came from. Nothing like the personal connection like we saw with Miriam Ghani and also her father. So we can anchor their projects a little bit more and get a better grip of their critical approach. What are the initial urges, really, that lead the artists to create these projects beyond creating time and space? Have the initiators ever mastered the art of taming human nature, such as power urges, hierarchical territorial issues that always end up surfacing in small initiatives, as well as bigger initiatives? Do they all share the common trait of being utopian in feel, and what's great about that, and what's wrong with that in 21st century? Do we still have the luxury to be utopian? Just asking. Do we often fail? I mean, do these projects often fail to last longer than the founders whose energy was used to sustain them? So there's always the 10th year syndrome when one of the partners falls in love, moves away, runs away, da-da-da. When founded in a landscape surrounded by lake, pine forest, minerals, Black Mountain College stated that it's a question as much as it's an answer, an experiment in constant formation and reformation, that its future form cannot be given in advance. It focused on method, not on content, on process, not on results, with a very anti-academic spirit. They believed art is a great matter, and in quote, also a practical matter, believed that art should be part of a college education, not because it's a form of action. So my question is also, are there initiatives that look beyond their immediate context? Not that there is less value in it. How effective and interested are they also to challenge curriculum, and are able to do so? Think of the Belgian artist Jeff Hayes, who worked from 1960 till 1989 in a small school in Belgium called Balen, teaching 8 to 16-year-olds. Hayes was interested in using the art practice to heighten their awareness of the world, not of art, and around them, the world around them. His title was The Teacher of Positive Aesthetics. Through collaborative and participatory art projects, he engaged the whole school and the wider community in debates that challenged thoughts and concepts, helping young people to develop an interest in school and the relevance of learning. And how are these projects any different than their contemporaries, and what are their ancestors? What are their politics of visibility and invisibility? Do they want to be seen and do their work quietly until Creative Time asks them to come on stage? Can these initiatives have traits that can be absorbed into the mainstream system? Are they interested in this at all, or they just want to be very localized and concentrated? Well, there are many examples of artist-run schools and initiatives. All of you know many examples, and it's quite an informed audience. Good examples of artists working within a general compulsory education system are actually much fewer. And why is that so? My first job in the art world was a job in the education department of the new museum, and they had an amazing placement project, artist placement project in high schools. And that sort of allowed also artists to change within, but also this job, of course, made me to see the funky relationship between curatorial department, education department, and fundraising, simply because everything that the education department would be raising, only a fifth of it would be provided to the department, and they would still be expected to deliver everything that they had promised in their grant application. It's a major US problem, but it's also, of course, a luxury. And also, what are the forms offered by the artists that have long consequences for both art schooling, but also schooling in general? What are the tools of organization and knowledge production that we can all extract from today, steal a bit, ideas, organizational structures, organic connecting points, but also tools and exercises. Think of Mike Escher, who introduced the post-studio crit, the 8-hour critique, in CalArts, which spiraled all around the world as a preeminent form of teaching, for instance, in the art schools. And also, I mentioned the European luxuries. Well, I mentioned the American luxury, but in Europe, art was always, its role is being questioned, especially in times of austerity. And after the Second World War, it was always used for the well-being of the citizens. And now, things are coming in a direction where art is seeing for its value for education, and it's something that I find interesting to see unfolding also as a director of an institution. That said, parallel possibilities are abundant. We're not here to extract a solution, but hear how these presenters are really approaching and reinventing and negotiating the terms of what schooling is, knowledge production is, and hear more about the status of knowledge now in 21st century. So welcome them all. Thank you.